I feel like people that go to the gym a lot are generally much more functional than people that don't. And obviously, there are going to be exceptions, but if you just look at it in a general kind of a way, quite often people that do go to the gym often and do sports are going to be much more efficient and much better at everything else as well. And I feel like there is a very clear reason to why is this the case. So for an example, we can look at me as a case study. Before I started going to the gym, I was drinking, eating all sorts of junk, smoking cigarettes, playing video games 24/7, and wasn't really able to do anything the way that I should be doing it. And then once I started going to the gym and once I started seeing some results as I was going to the gym, I decided that, well, if I want to see even more results, I should probably stop smoking cigarettes. So I did. Then eventually I also had to fix my diet because I wanted to keep on seeing results. So I also fixed my diet. Then on top of it, I realized that I have a little bit of an issue when it comes to consistency because I was skipping gym when I was getting into shitty relationships. I was skipping the gym when I wasn't feeling well. And I realized that I need a routine. And if I'm going to be able to stick to a routine, it is also going to be easier to go to the gym. So without even thinking about it, just based on my love of going to the gym, I actually ended up changing a lot of aspects of my life. And then eventually that led me into a situation where I was able to keep a job properly, where I was able to do better and better at this job that I'm doing and advance and get promotions. And when I was younger, I didn't really understand why is it that my life all of a sudden starts moving in the right direction as I started going to the gym, which also is a pretty bad indication because if I wasn't able to understand it then, that just kind of shows how dumb of a person I was. But now, when I think about it, it makes perfect sense. It's just because for you to do something that makes sense, you are going to have to adapt. You are going to have to change your life in a way where you're going to be able to do that. And once you do that, everything else that you need to do just becomes easier. You're never going to be late for work because you're still going to be in bed by 10 p.m. because you also have to go to the gym the next day. You're not going to be all that tired because you are going to be eating properly. You're not going to be hungover and you're not going to miss your job because of that. And that is also going to be because you are going to be going to the gym, so you're just not going to be consuming all that much alcohol. And for me, alcohol was a big one because I do love drinking. I love drinking a lot. And if I wouldn't do sports, I would most probably drink more or less on a daily basis. I'm quite sure of it. But now, because of sports, I don't really consume alcohol in my day to day life at all. The only times when I would consume alcohol would be when I'm on vacation. And that's where you can afford drinking and being a degenerate. So, yeah, I mean, like if I wouldn't find this love that I have for the gym, I would probably not really be doing all that well in life. I wouldn't be traveling around. I wouldn't be able to relocate to different countries. I wouldn't have a somewhat decent of a physique. I wouldn't have a decent job. So actually, like if you really think about it, like most of the success I've seen, I should kind of like attribute to the fact that I was just going to the gym because the gym was something that I was so interested in that it gave everything else structure. And I feel like this is also something that people don't really understand quite often. It is very difficult to get up in the morning and to function when you don't really have something that you really want to do. And once you do find this hobby that you really enjoy, something that like gets you up in the morning, something that gives you goals, it is going to be so much easier to do everything else because you're just going to be very interested in maintaining an environment where you can keep on doing this thing that you love. So like I don't really see any downside whatsoever when it comes to like actually finding something that you do. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the gym, like it can be anything. But for me personally, it was the gym, and since I started training, everything has just been gradually improving constantly. So yeah, I mean, it is kind of like a cool thing. I actually never really even expected that like a simple decision as a basically starting to go to the gym is going to lead me into a direction where you're going to be able to do all sorts of cool things just because of that. And also another thing that I feel like is highly underevaluated is how it's just going to make you move as a person. Because once you are going to start building a better physique than you had previously, you are also going to be a more confident person. And that I feel like is the other side of it. So there is a side where it is just going to fix your routine and you are going to be more efficient because of this routine, but it also makes you communicate differently and it makes you carry yourself in a certain way because as you start building a physique and as you start becoming a little bit more confident, that is also going to lead you into a basically a place where you're going to be able to communicate properly with people. You're not going to be as shy. I mean, you're still probably going to be a little bit shy because just going to the gym and gaining muscle isn't really going to solve any issues that you might have with communication, but it's definitely not going to hurt. Having a decent physique and having something that you do every single day that is hard is definitely going to build your character and improve you as a person. Because another thing that I was struggling with as I was younger, I didn't really have character at all. And still, sometimes I struggle with having like a good, solid character, and sometimes I still struggle with like being the man that I feel like I should be. But it is, once again, so much better than it used to be. And that is because, well, every single day I have to do stuff that is hard. I am going to have to go to the gym. I am going to have to lift like really heavy. I'm going to get tired. I'm going to be miserable. It is going to take a lot of mental fortitude. And ultimately, that kind of like leads me into a place where I am just generally less shy, generally less nervous when it comes to communicating with people. I might even sometimes have a little bit of an attitude, which I didn't really have before. And having an attitude to an extent, I feel like is a good thing. People quite often like to say that, oh, you should always be nice and you should always be very timid and you should not really challenge people. I think that's bullshit. I think you should have an attitude in certain moments, and when there is somebody that is challenging you and when there is somebody that's giving you shit, you should be able to switch it up a little bit and you should be able to like communicate strictly and efficiently. And that is also something that gym did for me. So like in general, I feel like finding a love for sport or finding a love for anything at all is actually going to be a beneficial thing for any of them. So yeah, I feel like that is something that everyone should try and everyone should find something that they're actually very into. So yeah, thank you guys for watching the video and see you guys in the next one.